Alrighty guys, tonight we're taking a look at a product from Marauder Threadworks. Been around the channel a while. I did a review or video of his Hive chest rig as recommended to me by Paul of Longship Designs. So this is the Skarmuch fanny pack chest rig, sling bag, man purse, satchel, plate carrier if you're feeling squirrely. It is a really neat setup as just kind of a do all the things, do a thing, do some things, carry your lunch, carry a pistol, carry a rifle plate, whatever you want it to be, this thing can do to a certain limited capacity. So let's get on the table, take a look at it. There's a lot of features in here, some of which I'm probably going to struggle to show you guys, but there's a lot, it's getting a lot of traction. Folks took it down to the recent hurricanes, used it while they were doing some emergency disaster relief type stuff. Really cool setup, and you can kind of make it do whatever you want. So let's get on the table. All right, guys, so we're looking at the Skarmuch bag here from Marauder Threadworks. And if you haven't seen the video on the hide chest rig, I highly recommend you pause this one and go check that out, as it was kind of his original product. And I think it's going to get you kind of in the mindset of just how wild his designs are. Because this one is no exception. It may even be more wild. But I think seeing the hide first is important. So I just checked the price on the website. This is $150 on the website, which I think is absolutely fair for what it is, if not a great deal. At its heart, it is kind of a fanny pack with a sling bag shoulder strap, if you want to use it that way, which I kind of recommend doing. All right, so you've got your shoulder strap coming off the top, and then your fanny pack waist belt, which absolutely favors being worn on the right side of the body, as opposed to centered up front. So you've got kind of the weight bearing from the shoulder strap and then the stability from the waistband, and it makes a pretty slick satchel type setup. All right, could you flip it and wear it the other way around? Absolutely, you could wear it on the left side of the body, and depending on how you set it up, that may actually make more sense. All right, so let's walk through the features on this thing, and kind of we're going to start with kind of the most obscure first, which is this thing rocking a plate. All right, so if you go on the website, one of the 4 pictures that's on the website has it with a plate, and you're just gonna be like, wow, how did that happen? All right, so you've got this tie down point footprint in the back here, 4 little tabs. And you're going to have to imagine some arts and crafts here. I've got this P210, which I think would be a great option for this thing if you could figure out a way to kind of have it pre-staged. I think shock cord on this plate would actually work well, which means you could leave it kind of always set up. You'd have a little bit of a pigtail, perhaps a barrel lock to set kind of the ideal tension for the plate, and then you could stretch it out and throw this thing in there pretty easily. So the P210s, if you don't have any experience with them, are a pistol rated plate from Hesco that is sappy cut, and they really don't have any more mass to them than your standard clipboard. So if you're not sold on this idea, the bag still is great. Pick it up and then just imagine a clipboard slapped on there, and that's what you're dealing with. All right, could you do a sappy plate? Sure. I would recommend kind of the lightest weight, smallest plate you could get, and then instead of shock cord, probably paracord on here, but you could still do the barrel lock or cord lock to adjust the tension and have it kind of pre-staged. I wouldn't necessarily recommend, using this as an ideally or a plate carrier on the daily, but in a pinch, it takes what you could have loaded out all the time and gives it some ballistic protection. So I think it works. I haven't set it up to do that because I just have enough plate carriers laying around that I don't foresee myself doing that, but it would work. Absolutely. All right, and then the other thing in the picture is there's 2 rifle mags exposed, kind of layered on front of the plate. That is using this back pocket here, which has not a full PALS field, but it does have some sewn in webbing there so that you could mount a pouch. It's going to be a little bit of a chore to get it in there. I would recommend some sort of like Velcro finger type setup or just an elastic insert. But you have a tie down point in the bottom there. Hopefully that shows up. There's a plastic D-ring down there. Just one. It is loop lined on both sides inside there. And that PALS field is 5 columns by 2 rows. Almost like a chunk of micro battle belt, the way that that's set up. But it will, it could act as tie downs if you had stuff loose in here. If you had elastic, like utility pockets, it would act as tie downs for whatever is in the elastic there so that you just don't lose it. And then you got a cord lock here, which you could use to help set up your plate suspension if that's the way that you want to go. All right. Looking at these, weaving a pouch in here, not going to be fun, but you could at least get 1 loop in there, I think, to provide some stability. All right, so it's not a full 3 mag footprint. It may not even really totally be a full 2 mag footprint with any kind of mollied in pouch, but elastic insert, it'll fit 2 M4 mags, 2 AK mags. I don't think we're gonna get 3 or 2 308 mags. But we'll give it a chance and see how that looks. Absolutely not ideal, but they could go in there pouch free and just have bungees running from the loops in there to kind of, you could share them on the cord lock here on the front, and I don't think they would go anywhere. They're pretty snug in there. So if you had the inside filled at all, those are just going to be there. All right. So you do have kind of choose your own adventure of dual mag capacity in this rear pocket. All right. Looking at the top, there is a pocket that at first glance, you're just kind of like, oh, what's going to go in there? It is ideal for a cat. It only really fits a cat well, but it fits the cat exceptionally well with this interesting shock cord toggle tie down. Fits that cat super well. Spaced out, it just fits the windlass clip. It could get worked in there, but then you pull the shock cord, and it's not going to be too much of a fight to get that out, especially if you're using that on somebody else. You got a couple more tie down points here. You'd use that to get the plate more stable. Whatever, you toggle a chem light on there or something, whatever you want to do, right? Put some rubber bands in there for just a bundle of chem lights. You'd run that over the top of this, so you could have other things in there. There's so many options, which is kind of the same thing as the hide chest rig. Just as much flexibility as you could imagine being in a chest rig, right? So the shoulder strap, if you're using this as a plate carrier, you're absolutely going to want to take some slack out of here. So that's another place where you could have like another ladder lock queued up to show you how much slack to quickly take out of this if you needed to run it kind of plate height. Or you could tie, you could do something where you just take the slack out of it like that and then throw that over your neck. Obviously it's not going to be comfortable long term, but you could have that marked off where the knot needs to rest to keep it somewhat at the right height. Or you could just use these as a shock cord kind of net to throw wet weather layer, cold weather layer, wind layer, and just kind of keep it up against your body. I've got a handful of like pack into their own pocket rain jackets that would work really well right there. On the bottom, you got a little bit of molly. That would probably be best used for some shot cord origami to retain something sideways, but you could mount a knife there, or I don't know, whatever you wanted. You could have some, you could get really goofy and do like pistol mags that extend out. I don't know. Options there. All right. Looking at the front face, you've got, this isn't paracord. I don't know what you call this cord, but you got a couple barrel locks and some webbing on the side there so that you can retain something on either flank. This has kind of a U-shaped or C-shaped body to it. Internal, you've got more tie-down loops up top. You have D-rings in the bottom on both sides, and it is loop lined both faces with 2 rows of 4 columns of actual PALS spec webbing there. Now this one, you absolutely could mount real pouches in there. I would recommend turning the bag inside out, which is going to be a little bit of a struggle, but it'll get that molly on the exterior face while you're weaving it, and then you can flip your bag back inside out or right side out and have your pouch completely mounted. So you could do like a dual cell 10-speed would work really well in there, because if you weren't using the pouches, it would keep it flush, and you could then have inserts along the outer face. You put pistol mag pouches in there, but point being, you don't have to just have elastic or Velcro backed inserts in here. You can use real PALS attached pouches if that's what you want. And then kind of not the most interesting thing on here, because this thing is just fascinating in general, but the band, the waistband, you've got 2 columns of kind of full profile PALS webbing there, where you can put rifle pouches, water bottle pouches, pistol mag pouches, and fully engage like you could on a 3-band cummerbund the pouch. So it would be completely retained just fine, and that is the same way on both sides. And then you have some additional 1 row of webbing kind of running the exterior there, so you can mount stuff over here. It's just not going to have the full stability that you would get over here. And then on this side, it's taken even further, so it starts wrapping around the waistband for an additional 6 columns. So that's what I'm saying. Like, in my opinion, it is designed to be carried on the right side of your body, so it's, you know, it's on your hip here, and then as your waist belt wraps around, you've got some pouches exposed up front. But then, as I think about it, if you did that in the other direction, you know, you could mount a 90-22 on here and have an IFAK hanging off the back of you. That makes a lot of sense. I'm kind of biased towards this being on the right side, because I was looking at this back pocket as fitting like a pretty hardy sized holster in here. So this is Glock 17 with a D-ball on it, and that fits in there just fine. Obviously you'd want to tie the holster down to the bottom, or potentially not have a full holster, have one of the Raven, you know, trigger guard holsters, and then you could have some pistol mags back here, or a rifle mag back here, and your pistol. I think that would fit just fine, even with this goofy large Glock here. Like, you could have that right there, which would work out really well for me personally, because I shoot pistol right-handed and rifle left-handed, so I could reload my rifle, draw my pistol same hand. That makes sense to me, you know. Or kind of looking at this, not personally biased now, if you ran this on the left side of your body, you could have your rifle reloads over here to retrieve with your left hand, and then, you know, your IFAK along the back. It doesn't really matter, you know, it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, just where you want the webbing around your back, right? And all this is really doing is keeping your pouches from sliding left to right. If you're not worried about that, you know, they're almost as stable on this end. They just have the freedom to move left and right. But yeah, this thing is wicked cool. Comes in this Ranger green color with the black accents, which does not look overtly tactical at all. The webbing kind of a little bit, but it's just got so much like odd geometry to it, and the color, the color matched or unmatched in this instance, like just isn't quite right to like look like it's trying to be camouflage or look like it's trying to be super cool guy colors. I think you could fly under the radar with this thing, especially if you didn't have pouches on it, pretty well. And it just kind of looks a little bit like a hipster waistband kind of setup or waist bag. I don't know. I really like it. And I got so many options these days now that I'm gonna load it up and use it, and it's gonna work into the rotation with other things. But keeping this in the car, I think makes a lot of sense. Taking it to even just as a lunch bag, like this thing is cool, right? You fit a can of soda in there upright, no problem. Maybe one of your smaller hydro flasks, and it's got dual zippers, so like even if you had something too tall in there, you could just have it exposed on the one side. You could have a 20-ounce hydro flask over here in a little elastic retainer, and then the other nonsense over here, right? That might throw people off the scent even more, right? You obviously have a water bottle sticking out of this thing. Nobody knows what else is in there, but you fit a pair of PVS 31s or 15s or Anvis in there, and a couple mags and some first aid stuff, and I don't know, you'd be ready to party. So there's the Skarmuch bag. Probably saying that wrong. SKAR Much from Marauder Threadworks. Really, really cool bag. Thanks, guys.